Okay, I'm also recording this so that we can save myself time when I do the memo. Okay, so with all the top 4 ones was just entering our numbers into the array. So let's just do the basics quickly so that I can also do the rest. So we'll go to change as quickly as possible. But if we look at the first one, we want 20 random numbers between 15 to 150. Now in this program, I also said it will be an integer number that we're adding. So let's quickly see. So when we go to this button, remember now we want to use the array in all the buttons. That means we must create a global variable. Please, all of you, feel free to just interfere when you want to say something or ask something or clarify something. That's the whole idea of this Zoom session. So I need you to ask the questions you need to ask. Okay, so we're going to need to have our array. So our array, let's call it numbers again. The data type of an array, we start with array. And now you have to indicate the positions that you've got. Now, it is good to always start with 1 and then you go to the amount of numbers you've got. Now, that's the way that I showed you, but with all of these ones, it is not fixed to 1 to 20. I would advise you to always do that. But if for some funny reason you wanted to start yours at 5 and then go to wherever you want to, then that's fine. Then your array will only have positions 5, 6, 7 up until 20 in this case. So positions 1 to 4 does not exist. If you're going to then refer to position 1, you'll actually get an error stating something like array index out of bounds or something like that, because then you're referring to a position that doesn't exist in your array. So for us, we want 20, so we'll just go 1 to 20, and then you have to say the data type that will be inside those array. So the data type we set will be integer. So with the array also, all 20 of them, so we've got numbers, so we've got a numbers 1 and a numbers 2 and a numbers 3 and so forth, and all of them are of type integer. We cannot with an array change the data types. Say the first 5 is integer and the next 5 must be string and so forth. All 20 of them must be of the same data type. So we've created an array called numbers. It's going to have 20 positions and all of them will be of type integer. So when we want to quickly just enter some numbers so that we can test our program, whenever we work with an array, we 99.9% of the time you will need an for loop because you want to go through the whole array. So let's use our I. In this case, the button I chose, random numbers between 5 and 50. So we need our randomize. We need our for loop, where I is from 1 to 20. Remember, your for loop is always the amount of numbers you've got. So it's not with the random numbers. The random numbers themselves must be 5 to 50, but that doesn't have an influence on this. This is how many random numbers do we want to create? We want to create 20 of them. Okay, we want to do two things. So we have to begin and end because we want to get the random number and we want to display the random number. So our step 1 is in our array numbers, and when you refer to your array's name, there must always be square brackets. Always put the square brackets, and then you can think, okay, what should I put in there? In our case, we wanted numbers 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. So that needs to change. So that's why we use our I. And then to get our random number, so random highest is 50, lowest is 5, always plus 1, on the outside plus lowest, which is 5, and there's our random numbers. Only thing is, now we want to display it. So in our array display, .lines.add, we want to display numbers. But remember, numbers I is integer, so we need to just into string this thing. Okay, then you'll see it will work nice, but we didn't clear. So every time you're going to click it, it's going to actually just add on. So maybe just before the for loop, let's just say our red display dot clear. Let's quickly test this just to see that we're on the right track. So if you click this, there's our 20 numbers, and it's, oh, I didn't change the names. It should be between 50 and 150. Sorry, I didn't change the name of my loop. So between 15 and 150, so that means that one, our highest is 150, lowest is 15. Okay, then it should be fine. Okay, so now you'll see every time you're going to click the button, you're going to get your 20 random numbers between 50 and 150. Okay. Okay, then the request was on our change button. So welcome to those of you that just joined us. I said please, the whole idea of the Zoom class is so that you can ask the questions. So please don't be shy. Ask me, clarify whatever you need to some clarification on. We started the first one here where Sandir asked the change button was a bit unclear the previous one. So the change button can be asked in a variety of ways. In this particular option, because I didn't give you a lot of instructions, the change is just there to change one of the numbers. So let's say when we play the number or the program, and let's see what happened. We get our numbers. Let's say we get these numbers, and now they said, oh, but they want the number 60 to change, to become a number 70. Or the change could be, wait, did I give instructions in the change? Let's just see. No, I didn't, yeah. So it could be something like that, or the change could be add 10 to all the numbers. So it could be anything like that. I didn't clarify, but in my example, I used when we just changed a particular number. So I'm going to do the same route. So the first thing that we want in this change button is we need to ask the user which one does he want to change. So let me quickly just... Okay, so with our change, our step one is we want to find out which number do we want to change. So we're going to do a var, and then let's say, okay, we need to go through all the numbers. So we're going to need our I, which is an integer, and then we're also going to need the number that we want to change. So I'm going to call it the search one, because we're going to have to go look for that particular number. And I think that's okay for now. So step one, let's go find out which number are we looking for. So in our search variable, we want to know, just ask the user. It is an integer, so we need to string to int our input box, so that we can ask the user which one does he want to change. Okay, so this is the change button, which num to change. Example could be 50. Okay, and then, okay, so now we've got this, and now we know which one we want to change. So now we can start our for loop. Now we have to go look for that number. So we have to go through the whole array to go look for that number, because remember that number could have multiple instances. That number 50 could appear maybe 3 or 4 times, and we maybe want to change all of them. So we want to go from the first number to the 20th number. And then, okay, this begin and end is not 100% required, but I'll just put it there for safety. And then we go our if. So if the number we're looking for is equal to our array at position I. So now this will see if the number we're looking for is equal to the first number. If it's not, going to see if it's equal to the second and third and fourth, and go through all numbers from 1 to 20 in there. Okay, once we found the number that we want to change, so once the one we're looking for is equal to this one, it means this one is the one that we want to change. So then our numbers I needs to get the new value, which would again be a string to int of an input box, and in this position then we can say this is also the change button, and then change to what? An example could be maybe 150. Okay, just as defaults, and then it's a bit smaller. Okay, so this will change all the numbers for us. So it's going to look for that particular number that was typed in there. It's going to go through all those positions, see if the one we're looking for is equal to the number at that position. If it is, it's going to ask for a new number and put it into that one's place. Now, the only thing that's now still missing is this will do all the changes for us. But now at the end, we won't see the changes because remember what was displayed is still the old numbers. So we actually need to just clear our display again to take away what's there. And then we want to display all the numbers again. So we can do a for loop again if we wanted to. Again, go from 1 to 20. And then inside here, we can just do our display line. Just going to copy it there to save myself some time. So this is the display part. Now, this part you'll see I did separate. I like doing it this way. You know, sometimes I do things a bit longer, but just so that it's nice and separate, and that's one of these things. If you wanted to incorporate these two into one, that would be fine. If you did your clear before the for loop, and then you just did the display there. So outside the if, but still inside the for. So after the if is done, then you can just display the numbers I as well, and then it would work the same. But then it's a bit mixed up. I like having it separate so that it's just easier to understand. Okay, everybody good? Any questions on this? Let's maybe just test it. And then I'm gonna ask somebody again to just give me an option. Tell me which button to do after this. So let's get the number. Let's say we want to change the number. Let's see if there's one that's more than once. Okay, now I can't see a number, but let's say number 35. This one here in the middle. So we want to change which number? Change 35. Change it to 150. Yes, talk to me.
This was the change button, but we never really do much changing. All we did was search, from what I see.
No, but didn't you see we changed the number 35 now to 150? The same as this. Look at the 103. So if I want to change 103, it's going to ask me what do I want to change it to. Let's say I want to just change it to a lot of nines. Then the number 103 is changed to that. So it's a search, and once we found the number, we'll change it to what we wanted.
Why can't you have it so that there's the user searches for a certain number and then changes it to something else also? Because what we have is where it's changing to a set number.
No, you can change it to anyone. Like, tell me which number do you want to change to what?
Let's just say 42.
Where's 42? We don't have a 42 here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because it only goes up to 20, but shouldn't it be so that it can be any number?
See, what the change does is we've got these 20 numbers. So let's say you don't want, let's say these are like marks for a test in a class. These are the 20 marks. Now one of the marks was entered wrong. This 141 was wrong. So then I can go change. I said the 141 was actually entered wrong. It was supposed to be 114. And then it will change that number to that. So the change doesn't change the structure of the array. The array still just holds 20 numbers. What the change does, it changes the number inside the array.
Okay.
Okay, you understand? So, okay, the next one we're going to do is a for next week. I'm going to give you a double
I get
one
it.
working with fractions. But then the week after, we're going to work with one that's got words in strings, like a list of names. And with that one then, so it's like a list of all the names in the class, and you'll have the list of names, and then if somebody was misspelled, you click the change button, and you can type in the wrong one, and then type in what it should have been, and then it will change that one to that. Okay, anybody got a request for another button? Tell me, guys, girls, all good? Is all of this relatively easy for all of you?
So no,
Yes, Jordan.
the part where you said it changes inside the array, so I still don't
Yeah.
understand how that works.
Okay, so let me just open another Excel spreadsheet here. So let's say on this spreadsheet, so what an array does, so we've got now an array called numbers, and we said it needs
So
20
nothing's showing.
just
So
yes.
so nothing's showing on the screen.
Oh, okay, so okay, let me just see. So let me just new share. Okay, sorry, let's okay, can you see the Excel now?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so basically what we've created now is this piece that's in yellow. I'm gonna put this piece that's in yellow. This is what
Yes.
we've created. We said there's an array called numbers. It's gonna have 20 spaces, and all of them will be integer. So this is what's created. So now what we went and did with our first button, we entered any random numbers into all of these places.
Oh,
So that's what we've done. So we've got this in memory, and then we displayed it in our rich edit. But now the problem with this is, let's say one of these numbers was entered wrongly. The 54 shouldn't be 54. So what our change button does, it's sort of like this find and replace. You know, this find, if you know Excel, you'll know there's, or even Word's got the same thing. There's a find and replace,
okay.
the replace option. So this is what we've done. Our change button is basically this. So we're telling the computer, listen, go look for me for the 54 and change that for me to 154. And then we say replace all. So then it changed all the 54s to 154.
But so how will the computer know that it has to change the single variable?
Okay, so let me just get this thing back again. So when I played the program, could you see the playing?
No, I couldn't.
Oh, so when I play this thing, you don't see anything.
It shows that it's declaring everything and then just stops.
Oh, okay.
And it's
Let me show. Okay, this sharing is just a bit dodgy. Okay, can everybody see the program now?
yes.
So,
It's
so what
clear.
it does, our first button fills the array with the numbers, 20 random numbers. Now, what the
Okay.
change must do is we want to change one of these numbers. We're not happy with it. So we're going to say, let's say the number 55 was entered wrongly. So we're going to say which number to change. We want to change 55. Let's see, is there...
Can you just check that screenshot or that version of the change I did? Because that seems to work fine also, but it's done differently. I sent it on the chat now.
Oh, I don't know where my... Oh, here's my chat. Okay, let me see. Okay, I need to download it first. Open. Doesn't look like it wants. Let me just see where I can get this thing now.
Or should I just send it on the WhatsApp group?
That might be easier.
Okay, I'll upload it now. Need to open WhatsApp.
Okay, cool. But all of you can see my program running.
Yes.
So
Yes,
I'm just
sir.
changing the 55, and then you say, okay, and then it asks you to what? And then whatever number you type in, then it will change the 55 to that number. Okay, I can see yours,
Okay.
Sandir, I can see your picture.
Cool.
Let me just now share screen. Okay, this is the picture that Sandir sent us. So he asked what are you looking for, and then what do you want to change it to? You cleared the display, then you did your for loop from 1 to 20. Then you looked for if the one that you're looking for is equal to that. Then you gave the new number to it, and then you displayed it. So this is 100% fine. This is exactly the same as mine. The only difference is I asked on the inside while you asked on the outside. So Sandir, what you've done there is exactly the same as what I've done. You just did it in a separate place, and you also combined the display with the search, as I said. So, and this is fine.
Okay.
It's exactly the same what I've done. So you'll see the only thing that Sandir did, this question he just asked on the outside. Ah, okay, no, sorry, I'm getting used to this thing. Share. Okay, so this question he just asked on the outside, and then he also put the clear on top there, and then he just put his display on the inside here, and that's fine. It's the same thing. So with the change button, all of you good. Sorry. Let me just see where's. Now I can't see all of you. Let me just see where's all the people again. Okay, now I can see you. Okay, everybody good with the search or the change? I mean, Jordan, are you
Yes.
okay with this?
Yeah, I got it now. It
Okay,
keeps
cool.
on crashing on my program. Now I got it.
Okay, cool. And Sandir, you're also good now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, which next button, people?
So
Sorting button. Okay.
Anybody? Maybe the median, highest, lowest, average.
Jordan said sort.
The sort. Okay, sort's important. Okay, let's go through sort. Okay, with the sort button. Now, remember, even in the first time, I asked you to do that algorithm for me when I explained to you about the brother and sister, or whatever, that had the 2 cups, and you had to put the milk and the water in, but then it was the wrong way around, and you had to swap it. So the only way we could do that is to get the 3rd cup. So that's sort of what we're going to apply on the inside of this one. But so the method of sorting that we're doing, there's actually a variety of sorting algorithms. But the one that I like most, and the one that I'm going to teach you, is the bubble sort one. You don't need to know the name. You don't need to know the other types. If you want to learn another sorting method, you're welcome to do that. As long as you can sort, it doesn't actually matter which method you use. For me, the bubble one is just the easiest. So let me just see. So let's take these numbers that I've done. I'm going to quickly share this now. Okay, so these numbers, we've got them now. So let's say we wanted to sort them from small to big, ascendingly. So what that bubble sort does, we've got two counters. The first counter tells us which position are we busy with. So I'm going to use blue for that one. Yo. Okay, my computer didn't like that.
Have you tried turning it off and on?
So how's the holidays been, guys and girls? Enjoying it?
They're nice.
Ah,
Yes.
Not so
Been
really.
good.
that's good.
Nah, you can't go outside.
Not really.
Why?
That's
Nobody's
the
allowed
one.
outside, so that means nobody will know that you are outside if you are outside.
That's kind of like a know you kind of thing.
That's true.
Nah, there's eyes everywhere
This is like
outside.
the meme with the Spider-Man looking at each other like, you're not supposed to be here, but so you're also not supposed to be here.
Okay, it looks like my Excel really didn't like that. So let me just see if I can close this thing. But people, so all of you, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
cool.
Yes.
So please, the work that teachers and stuff upload, please put in effort into that. We don't know how long the lockdown will be, and try to, even if any of your other friends can try to join these sessions, it would help. But we need to put in the time so that we're not too far behind when we start back. There's worst case scenario, we could even like lose the whole of the second term, and then we can't be too far behind. The unfortunate thing is, especially for you guys, your final exam is very important for university sakes, but then also we need to get through grade 12, so for you for next year. So yeah, please try and put in the effort with the work that I'm giving. If somewhere it is, I'm trying to space that I don't give you too much. I know the first theory, I think the theory for now, it looks like a lot, but you'll see if you started with the theory, it's actually just a few pages every now and again, or it's just like one page assignment. So it's not, it looks like it's like 8 or 9, I think, assignments, but it's just like one page, one page, one page with like 2 or 3 questions on. So it's not too hectic, and it's supposed to be for the whole week. So try to do it, but if you somewhere realize that, so it's a bit much, just let me know, and I'll see what I can do. Okay, can everybody see my Excel now?
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so we've got these numbers. So now we want to sort them ascendingly from big to small. So we've got two counters. The first one, I'm going to use blue. Let's see if it works now. Okay, so the first counter will keep track of the position we're at. So this one, the blue one, will tell us we're at position 1 and we want the smallest one in there. And then what we've got another counter. I'm going to use a red counter. So the red one then goes through each of the other numbers to see if any of them are smaller than that number. So how our algorithm is going to work, blue's going to start at 1, red's going to start at 2, and then we're going to say, is 34 smaller than 123? Okay, hopefully yes. So what this will do is, it will put the 34, because this is true, it's going to take the 34, put it in the temporary variable. It's going to take the first one, put it in the second one's place, and then it's going to take the temporary one and put it in the first one's place. Then red moves on. So then red moves on. Now it's going to say, okay, is 4 less than 34? So it always compares, the red compares to blue. Is 4 less than 34? Yes, it is. So it's going to take the 4, put it in temp. It's going to take the 34, put it into that one's place, and then it's going to take the temp one and put it in the first one's place. Once it's done that, our red's going to move on. Then it's going to say, is 56 smaller than 4? No, it's not. And now we're going to compare each of the, so then red moves on. Is 67 less than 4? No, it's not. Is 86 less than 4? And so this thing will carry on until we get to the 3. And then it's going to say, is 3 less than 4? Yes, it is. So it will take that one, put it in there, take that one, put it in there, then take that one, put it in there, and then take that one and put it in there. And then it will carry on looking for, is any of the others smaller than 3? And this will actually carry on until the red gets to the last position. Once it's at that position, went through the whole thing, that means the first one is the smallest. Then our blue will move on. Then the next one becomes blue. And then our red starts just after. So then our red starts at 3. And then we're going to say, is 34 less than 123? And the same process, red will go right through, every time looking for a smaller one. Put the smallest one in there. When it reaches the end, blue will move on, red starts in the next one. And that will carry on until the blue is there. And our red is there. Because when the blue is here, the red will start here again. We're going to compare, is this one smaller than that one? No, it's not. So, and then you'll see once you've done that, this whole sequence will actually be sorted, and it will get to this point. So it's going to compare them, no swapping, and they're sorted. So now our blue will never actually go to the last one. And our red always starts just one after where the blue is, to just look if any of them are greater or smaller than this. So any questions just on the principle or the algorithm of what we're going to do to sort? All of you good with this?
Is it like descending order?
This is ascending. This one is ascending because we go from small to big.
Oh,
But
it works like that.
yeah, descending is just same thing, but instead of looking if the next one is smaller than that one, we're going to look if the next one is bigger than that one. So descending would just go for the comparison will just be bigger than instead of smaller than, and then it will be descending. Okay, everybody good with the algorithm of sort?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Okay, so now let's now apply that what we've just done now in code. So I'm going to change my variables a bit to suit with what I've done now. So I'm going to have my blue variable. You remember the blue one, and I'm going to have the red one. Both of them were just positions, so they will be integer. And then remember we needed that temporary variable. Now at this stage we're swapping integers because there's integers in our array. That means our temporary one also needs to be an integer. Later on, as I said, like next week we're going to do a double program. When we work double, the temp will be of type double. But our two variables that we're using for counting will still be integers. Hit my night track. Okay, so we must just for our for loop. So this is the outside one. So our blue one. remember the blue one started at the first one, and it goes to the it stops just one before. So remember the blue one, we ended off at 19. So depending on how many numbers you've got, your first for loop will always stop just one before. If you struggle to remember this and you just say from 1 to 20, that's fine. It's not a problem. You can do that. You're just sort of gonna waste the CPU's time a bit, but it's still fine. It will work fine. But more efficient, we want to actually stop one before the end. I'm going to use begins just because, but this begin is not actually required. So then our next for loop, which was the red one. Remember the red one always started just after wherever the blue one was. So it was started at the blue variable, but plus 1. But then this red one will always go to the last one. So this one needed to go to 20. Again, if you forgot the plus 1, it's not serious. If you just set from blue to 20, that actually means it will just waste the CPU's time again, that it will do an extra calculation that it didn't need to do. Okay, and then we go begin and end. Also this begin and end not required. Now these are just placing our blue and red positions. Now we need to do the comparison. So we needed to check if our array at position red, if the red one was greater than the numbers at position blue. Or if you read it from the right hand side, these are numbers at position blue smaller than the numbers in position red. So if that is true, that meant we wanted to swap them because we wanted the smallest one on top. Now we do need the begin. Okay, this begin is very important. You must have that begin because we need to do the swap on the inside of the if. Now we just need to do the swap. So our temp we must just take the numbers that's in red at position red. Our array at position red must just be placed in the temporary one, so that we can then in the numbers at position red, we can actually put the numbers at position blue. And now because blue is in red space, we can now actually take numbers that is in blue and give him the value of the temporary one. Now this will do your whole sort. After this, your sort will be 100% right. The only problem is we won't see anything yet because we only remember everything we've done here is only done inside the RAM. So we need to just do this display part again. So I'm just gonna copy that, paste it right at the end. So let's quickly see how this works. Oh, errors. Oh, I used I. So we just needed to add our I. I used I for display. Okay, let me just share this with you. Okay, so we can put numbers in there. We can change any of these numbers. Let's say the 15. We want to change to that big number. There you can see it's changed. And then we can click our sort. And now this one will give us from the biggest number to the smallest number. Let's see what happened. Okay, so what we did was we checked if the number that was in red which is the second one, is greater than the number that is in blue, which is the first one. And if it was greater, then we swapped it. So that meant we actually moved the bigger ones to the top. So we realize now, oh, it just sorted the wrong way around. So then you only change that symbol. Now when we play this thing again, you'll see I just changed that one symbol. Just wait for this thing to open up. So now we can click our number, and now if we sort, now it's from small to big, and that's our sorting. So that's the only difference. Just swap in between these screens. Okay, so the only difference between ascending and descending is that one symbol there. Everything else will be exactly the same at all stages. Okay, everybody good with sort?
Yes, sir.
Ah, cool. Thanks, Jordan. Okay, anybody else? We've got about 10 minutes left. Anything else? Even if it's theory, if you want me to quickly assist with some of the theory or then of this practical work,